Welcome to Build a Great Company. It's a video series I'm doing, and I'm going to begin with asking the obvious question, what's a great company? Well, in his book, Good to Great, Jim Collins defines great company, and he says they were the companies that made the leap from just going from good results to great results, and they sustained these results over a 15-year period. And he goes on to say, this is page 3 of the book, that the good to great companies that made it into his final study averaged cumulative stock returns of 6.9 times greater than the market over the same period of time, which was in excess of 15 years. And he started tracking these companies at what he called the transition point. So that's where the stock price had been relatively flat, and then it starts going up over a 15-plus year period. Well, that's a great definition for publicly traded company, but what about us? What about entrepreneurs like you and me, business owners, companies of all sizes? But we probably are never going to lead a publicly traded company for 15 plus years. We probably don't even want to. So how do we define great companies? I want to break that into basically two parts. I want to look at what would be a great company for us as the entrepreneur, founder, or group of founders. And then I also want to look at it as what would a great company be for the people who would work for a great company like ours. Well, so here's some ideas about us and what we would define as a great company. I think first and foremost, it's got to excite us. We've got to be stirred by the adventure, the faith, the challenge, the whole thing about it, all the things that it demands. It feeds our passions and desires. Now, realistically, it's not going to feed all of them. But at the same token, our passions and desires are going to feed it. And so there's this mutual beneficial relationship there, which produces in us high motivation that we want to make our company have an impact, change the world around us, right? I mean, to make life better. So those are all the kinds of things that excite us. We've also got to be excited about the team. So whether you've got one other person or thousands, it's got to be people you enjoy, people who enjoy each other, who are energized by each other. They energize you, you energize them. Of course, there's got to be financial success. And I think that financial success is our definition. And for most of us, it's going to probably look something like, I want to make a great living. I want to be in control of my time. If I made a fortune, great, but if I just make a good living, I'd be very, very happy. The key is that enables us to pursue greater fulfillment beyond our company. What I've learned in talking to entrepreneurs is I don't know any of us just have a singular passion, and it's all encapsulated in our company. We have many passions, and the company can actually be a platform that we can go pursue other things and make an even greater impact on our world. So that to me would be some of the components of what a great company would look like for owners and entrepreneurs like us. So for a broader view of a great company, now let's kind of go out and look at it. So what would it be a great company for those who would work with it or work for it? And you've got to go to the basic, obvious first question. Well, what is a company? And a company is people. And it begins and ends with people. Well, if you've got people in a company, you're going to need a great leader if you're going to become a great company. So the founder or group of founders either need to be a great leader or willing to do what it takes to grow into becoming a great leader. Well, what makes a leader great? Okay, so there's books and books on this, and I'm just speeding through this video like, okay, I'm just going to give like one idea. They need the determination to lead the company to achieve its direction, but not for their sake, but rather for a cause greater than themselves, and at least, at the minimum, for all those who've joined this endeavor. So that begins to shape a great leader. Well, if you've got a great leader, well, who are the right people to hire? And again, lots of stuff on that. But I think right at the top, they've got to be passionate about the direction of the company, where it's headed. They've got to be passionate about that, and that's got to be literally right there at the very beginning. Well, that brings up a very big question. Where are you headed? To be great, the entrepreneur must know where the company is headed and have it mapped out to some degree. Well, direction, sources, and identity. And in this case, it's going to source both in the personal identity of the founder, entrepreneurs, and the corporate identity. Well, what's the corporate identity? What does the company provide? How does it provide it? What's the culture? Now, this becomes bigger and bigger the larger the team is, the more people you have. You have thousands, versus a few hundred or just a half a dozen people, So it's going to change. But I just want you to know that the identity of the leader, the entrepreneur leader, is going to always be a factor in the identity of the company. So as you get into direction, you're blending in identity, you've got to know where breakthrough is. In other words, you need to know that there's a breakthrough and where it's going to be. And you're like, well, breakthrough what? Great companies set next levels. They know where they're headed. And they know that there's certain, what I call, success barriers that keep them from getting there. And they have to break through those success barriers to get to their next level. So what is your next level breakthrough? And it needs to be clear so that you know when you broke through and you can celebrate it. Now, what I mean is that these breakthroughs don't come quickly, okay? It could be 3 to 5 years. Well, if you're going to break through to your next level, you've got to be focused and you've got to follow through to the finish line. You can't be distracted by things that aren't on your map. And look, there's tons of things that come our way, opportunities, new ideas, things like that. Well, that's key in writing a map and a next level and success barriers. Well, once you do, if you lose sight, in other words, of where you're headed, it's like the old baseball saying, you got to keep your eye on the ball. What's your ball? Keep your eye on your ball. If you lose sight of that, in a baseball game, if they lose sight of where the ball is, they could easily lose the entire game in one play. So, to keep your eye on the ball, you've got to have regular reality checks. Where are you in relation to your map direction, your strategies, your breakthroughs, your finish lines, all of that sort of thing. A big reality check. What are your numbers? Do you even understand them? Do you lead from them? Do you take actions from your numbers? Look, this stuff is critical, and the good companies, they're rocking along. They've got a pretty good idea of the numbers and things like that. The great ones, they're running off of numbers. And I don't mean just financials, but they've got metrics that actually tie to their map direction. Look, all of this is a lot to take in and try to cram into a short little video. But it does settle down to some key principles to live into and to lead your company into greatness. And let me just add, you can start becoming great anytime. I don't care if you're just starting out or if you're 50 years into the company. Anytime you want to start becoming great, you can start doing certain principles and it will raise your level and start making you a great company. And so I want to take the next 8 videos and just go into this a little more deeply. So subscribe to this YouTube channel, and that way you'll be notified every time a new video comes out, about every few days. The other thing is, I'd love to get your comments, questions, or just contact me in the link below. That way I can maybe speak to some of that in the upcoming video content. Would love to get a conversation going. So stay tuned.